Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor Luinishmat Sarim Yakasholim Malav Sitzchok. We're holding in Basra Daf Lamed Vov. We reached Lamed Vov and Daf on top at the 6 lines on the top, 7 lines on the top. We're bringing out Shmuz in the name of Rav Yudah. So Rav Yudah, and this is something we just said before. So because we're mentioning things in the name of Rav Yudah, so we mention this as well. Rav Yudah, this the Gemara already said. Hayman, the nokat maglo v'tuvalyo. Someone takes maglo v'tuvalyo. There are different instruments to cut the tree. The Rishbam said earlier that what is maglo v'tuvalyo? Rishbam told us. Look at the Rishbam inside in Daf Gimel base. Clay godrei tmarim. This is the kalim. They're being used to cut dates from the tree. Hamagal ligdor, the magal cuts the dates. V'tovilo chevel lois ladekel mirakovoi is the rope they take up, or it's a sal, it's a basket. So it's different instruments they use to do the harvesting, to cutting out of the tree. He goes and says, I'm gonna go and I'm going to cut down the tree, not, as the Bava says there, not the tree itself, but the fruits of the tree. I will harvest the tree because I purchased it. We trust it, that it really is. Why? The person is not a chatzuf to go and cut a tree that doesn't belong to him. If he goes down to cut it, that means it's really, what is it? It's really his, and it's a right that it's his, because of the chutzpah. Then the Gemara, if you remember, the Gilbey says, so maybe we'll say that by fruits, also, a person doesn't eat the fruits of a land that doesn't belong to him. So that's another shur of Yehuda. Says, I already explained it, I'm not going to go, we already mentioned it before, just 2 daf ago. What does that mean? So Shmuel explains like this. You have one of the tricks the Baalei Asodot used to do, the owners of the fields to do, is to get rid of the different animals, and the animals should not go into the field. They used to leave a little portion of the field outside, like a fence. The fence did not reach the border. They put the fence a little before the border. And then they used to throw, while they're planting the field, they used to just take some seeds and throw it into that area, which is outside. What did that do? Things grew. It wasn't really done in an ordinary fashion. It wasn't really done in a way which is the way a field's supposed to be. But the animals would go and eat that part, and then they would not go into the field. It's a way to get the animals something outside, don't come in. So that's called gudo darid. Gudo darid is the fence for the arid. The arid is the animal that, one of the small animals that come into the field. Maybe the art school here translate which type of animal it is. So anybody who doesn't mean lebar, anybody who does chazaka outside of there, la chazaka. Why la chazaka? Because the guy says, I wasn't doing a mechal when you're taking that. It's not really my field. I don't really use this field. It's not really my field. It's a field that I'm holding on to. I just have it. The fact that I didn't do a mechal doesn't say anything. My time, as the Gemara says, he says, anyway, whatever is being planted over there, the animals can eat. Again, what's a roidi? The article says something? What's a roidi? They don't bring? Wild animal. So the animal goes and eats it. So he says, I don't care so much if someone's holding on to that. It doesn't mean it's his. I'm not going to do a mechal because anyway, it's not beneficial. And here we have 2 Yesoros in the Rishonim. Usually the argues says, it's not a chazaka when you eat arla. When you're in the field for the year, that the fruits of the tree are arla within the first 3 years that the tree was planted. Why? Because anyway, it's not edible. What do you do with the fruits of the tree that grow? Throw them away. So the guy says, I have no interest in doing a michal. Say, what are you doing in my field? Anyway, I can't enjoy the fruits. Let it be there. Any one of these things you can't enjoy. Orlo, shmiti, or kilayin ain't a chazaka. That's our Gemara. Taisis brings a different girsa. The girsa is, it is a chazaka. And why is that so? Because he's able to eat the branches of the tree. Can't eat the fruits, the branch of the tree could eat, and that's the chazaka by eating the branch of the tree. Toys discuss. That's the one piece we have in this amud discussing the different rayas that you say the branch is good enough or not. And Toys wants to learn, brings a gear so that's what it is. What's shachas? Shachas is when you have the grain that grows. So the shachas means when you don't let it grow fully, it stays a straw. And then you let the animals eat it. That's called ochlo shachas. You eat it when it's not fully grown, and then you give it to the animals to eat it. So lo have a chazaka. It's not a chazaka. Why is it not a chazaka? Because the guy didn't eat the full fruit. This grain didn't fully grow. So as Rashbam explains, the owner says, I'm not doing a mechol. Why am I not doing a mechol? This guy, he's not comfortable. Why is he harvesting so early? Before the thing fully grew? Because he knows it's not his. He's not sitting comfortably waiting for everything to grow. If something grows, he ready takes it out. So that's why, that's not a real chazak. I don't have to do a mechol for it. If it's in an area called Tzor Mechoizo, the kaimo have a chazak. It is a chazak. Because there, the normal way of having the field, they have a lot of animals, and the normal way of growing the field is doing a shachas. That's what they do. They always do shachas. Says the more and more. Omar Nachman, tafticho loy have a chazak. What's a tafticho? It means that the Rashbam brings, let's see the Rashbam inside, tafticho, karpo psucho meleo bikoim, ve'einu mutzia perseo lo have a chazak. So it's a land that has many cracks in it. Because that's not a good land. It says the Rashbam, the next line, Rabbeinu Chanal Pirish, tafticho soda shelo yichorish oiso elo ukshimo v'noshva ruach v'zoch Hashem yizapako. In other words, he did not plow it. It was plowed on its own. So then, because he didn't do the work, so then he feels, you know what, this is not, I don't do a chazaka, because it's not a real holding of the field. What does that mean? Meaning, if a person goes and plants the core of seeds, and that's what he harvests, whatever he plants, that's what he harvests, it's not a chazaka, because you're not making any money. Your plant, whatever you're spending, that's what comes out. So that's not a real field. The field is not beneficial. So that's why he's not doing a mechol. They can't do a chazaka. And why? Because Berish Kalusa are the ones in control. And people don't want to do a mechol because the mechol, they're afraid of them. They're scared. So that's why it's not a chazaka. And you don't do a chazaka by them too. Why not? Says the Rashbam. Rashbam brings two explanations. Explanation number one is because they're very rich. They have a lot of fields. They're very happy when someone goes into their field and takes care of it. The fact they do a mechad doesn't mean it's not theirs. Or they say they're too busy in taking care of they're basically the kings of the Jews. They're too busy. They don't have time they don't really realize what's going on. Shimon says I don't like that second shot. Okay, so we have different details regarding chazak. So the more of that avodim, that avodim have chazak. It's more of avodim yishlo chazak. Shlokish says the goydrus don't have chazaka. What's goydrus? Animals. Animals don't have chazaka. Why not? Why don't they have chazaka? Because they walk from place to place, and maybe they went on their own to this field, or maybe you grabbed them when they're walking. They're not chazaka. So you see, there's no chazaka of people that walk on their own. So why do slaves have chazaka? They don't have chazaka immediately. You can't say, oh, if I'm holding on to this, chazaka is probably mine. No, because maybe they came into you or you grabbed it. But if you have 3 years, the owner should do a mechal. 3 years you do have. Now, what do you have a chazaka for 3 years? So here, the Rashbam says, if you look at the Rashbam says 3 years. He says, right above the Matchil Omarov, the Rashbam says, both avodim and animals have chazaka of 3 years. It says the Vilna Gaon, whoa, this Indian, the 3 years work both by avodim and goydrus, that's only the sheet of the Rashba. But the Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch, they hold the what? Only by avodim you have 3 years, not by goydrus, not by animals. Ask the Kavitchurin, what's shot? How do you want to do chazaka? What's the chazaka? For 3 years, you have a chazaka. What's the chazaka for 3 years? What did we learn earlier? Because for 3 years, a person holds on to the shtar. After 3 years, it gets lost. So, you have a shtar. But on goyjois, we don't have stars of goyjois. We don't have a shtar on animals. So what do you want him to do for 3 years? Answer is just like this. This stage of the Gemara, we're going with the other shita. This we're going to get to in a moment in Omud Beis. We learned, this is important to remember, when we go back, we're now back at the idea of Shalosh Shanim, that we brought in the beginning of the parak different reasons why Shalosh Shanim works. The maskana of the Gemara was that according to Shitas Rabbanon, the 3 years work was a person does not hold on to a shtar more than 3 years. But we brought other Shitas. We brought Shitas Rabbi Shmuel that comes out, you know, because of Gimel Chazakis that you have based on Shor Mud. 3 times the Chazakah. And we'll see in a moment the many Shitas in the Mishnah Yishtael, you don't have to have 3 years because of the shtar, but you have other things, 3 harvests, or 3 other things. Oh, so maybe there's other reasons. Says the Krivit Shurim. The Rashbam is speaking here now according to the other mandos. We'll see in a moment. The Gemara is going to address it. If you hold shtar, you're right. It doesn't work by Godrus. So the Rashbam will agree halacha that we paskin that the reason why Shalosh Shanim works is because of the shtar. He will agree with the Rambam. Okay. Says the Gemara. So if you have a baby who can't walk, it didn't walk on its own. So how did he come here? He purchased this baby. Allowed right away. What's a chiddush? He has a mother that goes into the house. So maybe the mother brought him there and forgot him there. A mother does not forget her son, even a slave, even though she knows she'll be sold. She doesn't forget him there unless he belongs to the new one. So you have these goats. They're in chushla. What's a chushla? Chushla is something that grows in the field. Rashi says, and Rashbam says, so klufim. Right? It's peeled barley. So they're in chushla b'nardo. Also, my chushla, tafsinu, comes the owner of the chushla and grab the goats. Why? So what do you mean? You made me, caused me a damage. You ate my chushla. He said, you know, the amount of chushla that the goats ate is a lot of money. It's thousands and thousands of dollars, more than the value of the goats. The amount he can tell you is only the amount of the value of the goat, but not more. Why? Because what can he say? You have goats right now sitting in the field. He can say, I bought them. I purchased them. He can say, I purchased the goats. So immediately I can say, I purchased them. I can tell you that I didn't purchase them, but you owe me the money that they're worth. But more I can't do. So back to the problem that we just said, that animals no chazaka. What's a chazaka over here? Shani is ezi de mesira leroy. Goats are given to a shepherd, and they're not going on their own. They're always being guarded. What about the morning and the evening, where you need to go and you right in the morning and the evening you have then the owner comes and brings them to take when the shepherd finishes his job. So then the goats are wandering around. In Arda, there are these tayo, the Ishmaelim, that they steal the animals. So they're very careful not to let the animals wander on their own. Always the goats are being guarded, either by the shepherd or they go to the owner. Owner in the morning, owner in the evening, right away they go miyad liad. And Moshe Pirzitz brought in the Sefer that's coming out this week, and I wrote a Sefer too, I'm copying it, that he brought a story that someone came to the Chofetz Chaim and used this to say, I forgot the name of the lashon of the pasuk that he used. wanted to say that this concept of the Izim are connected to Am Yisrael. That when there is Tayyim, when there's service in the world, the Baruch Hu makes sure that the Am Yisrael are always being guarded. He never lets them wander around. They're always being under him. He gives them the hand, make sure that they're always being guarded. So the Chofetz Chaim really enjoyed this word, that this Gemara refers to Am Yisrael. Nechusi Yom. Says the Gemara, B'Shmuel Loimer, Shloisha Chadashim. So we learned in the Mishnah, B'Shmuel Shita, that how long is a chazakah? 3 months in the end of 1 year, 12 months of the second year, and 3 months of the third year. That's it. That's all you need. 18 months. And then came the shita of the Madam argue, which is a Rabbi Kiva. Kiva says no, you don't have to have 3 months. 1 month is good enough. So we're going to say, what's the why 3 months? What's the sort of 3 months or 1 month? If you could do whatever you could do in 3 months, you could do in 1 month. Says the Gemara, near. What's near? Near is the plowing that you do before the actual planting. There's a plowing that you do while you plant, but there's an earlier plow that you just leave it all open. You make the land softer by plowing it. So the near the near doesn't take a long time. I need more than near. I need 3 months until the fruits are growing. Just the plowing is good enough. So more if that's so, if it is really Bekivo, my area chodesh. Do I need a month? So the more that lemon with base. I feel even 1 day should be good enough. Because how long does it take to plow? 1 day. You don't need a month. Hello, the kulal near loya v'chazok. Near is not good enough for to have full chazok. The question is, which size of fruits you need to have? The Rishbam learns Pirah means you have to have a full tvua, full grain, and Pirah means a shachat, like we said before. The one who grows only a third, you give it to the animals. Today's Leil discussed it a little bit, maybe it's a little different, Pirah, Pirah, but you have the Pirah, Pirah is amount of fruits you have to grow, but near is not good enough. Says about Torah near ain't a chazaka. Near is not a chazaka. The Yesharim I raise a chazaka. Some say it is a chazaka. Man Yesharim, who's the Yesharim? The Bach here points out the Maseches Hoyriyos. It says that Stam Yesharim is Ramnasa, but here they knew it's not Ramnasa. Says the Gemara, Omar Chizdor Achi. That's it. The Tanya says in the Brisa. No Roshona Vizar Beis. He plowed 1 year. He left it open because that's what the Baalei Karkos used to do. We learned the Yisrael early in the Masechta. They leave it plowed, just to soften it and let it rest. For Zara Beis, then the other 2 years he planted, or Nara Beis, Zara Shana, he plowed 2 years and he planted 1 year. Says, not that he plowed 2 years in a row. That's the point. He never plowed 2 years in a row. It means he plowed 1 year, planted the year number 2, and left it plowed year number 3. So you have 2 years of plow. So I raise a chazak, if Zara Shana ain't a chazak, there's not a chazak. Omar is a chazak. Back holds and here's a chazak. Omar Vash Sheilas called Gdela Ador. Asked all Gdela Ador. Only near her raise a chazak is a chazak. Omar Bibi Lav Nachman. My time is the mandoma near a chazak. Why do you say it's a chazak? Lo Ibidani Ishtikriv the Arab Shosik. Because if someone sees somebody else plowing in this field, he's going to go do a micha. My time is the mandoma near lo a chazak. What's the reason mandoma it says near is not a chazak? He says every shiva. Rashi, the Rashban says over here, the shiva is the little pieces of the plower. He says, I'm very happy. Let it plow. He's not planting anything. He's just making the land a little softer. Great, plow. Go ahead, continue plowing. I'm only benefiting from the fact that you're plowing. Says so the people that live in Pubna said to Menachem Yitzchak, El Nira Rabbeinu, please teach us, Rebbe, Nira v'chazaka, Lav chazaka is Nira chazaka or not. Omer Lahu Ravachu v'chol Gdel Ador, Omer Nira reis chazaka. So that's Ravachu that we said before, and we mentioned Gdel Ador before as well, is a chazaka. Omer Menachem by Yitzchak, Rebuso, Lemichshev, Gavre. He says, he mentioned a whole list of people. Ravachu, no Gdel Ador. I have a whole list of people that agree with me. So that's not a big Rebuso. Harav Shmuel b'Bavel, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, Be'eretz Yisrael. Amri Nir Lo Have Chazaka. They all reveal that Chazaka. What is that? Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, Mastisri. That's our Mishnah. Because in our Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva said, you need to have either 3 months or a month. We learned earlier, if it's a year, it should be only 1 day. Why it's only 3 months or a month? So that's our Mishnah. Right? Rav Ma'i, Dom Rav, Zu, Divrei Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva. Rav said, our Mishnah that said 3 months, a month, is Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva. Has to be full 3 years. It's coming to say that near not, meaning near. He's saying, he's bringing over here. I have Rabbi Akiva, that's the Rashbam learns. I have over here Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva, they said 1 month, 3 months. And they say, no, it has to be 3 full years. Near is not good enough. Near does not work. Says the Gemara, Shmuel Mahi, what's Shmuel? Shmuel Zudi Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Akiva. In other words, you can't have, as we saw in the Mishnah, a harvest of dates, olives, and grapes. No, you have to have 3. You have to have 3 dates, 3 olives, 3 grapes. In other words, 3 full years. Maybe now, what's the chiluk between Rav and Shmuel? So first of all, we saw over here, they all say near no. Nobody mentioned near. Nobody mentioned that 1 day is good enough. They brought Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shmuel, they brought Chacham, they say much more. Now, in Chachamim, they said a little different. The Rav said you have to have 3 years, and Shmuel says there has to be a year that has 3 harvests. Maybe now, what's the chiluk? Dekel naro ika b'nai. Dekel naro is the difference between them. What does it mean, dekel naro ika b'nai? So let's see Losh Rashbam. So Rashbam, dekel naro ika b'nai. So Rashbam, dekel yaldo ubachuro. A young tree. She's able to grow fruits within less than 3 years. You don't have 3 full years. I need to have Gimel 3 times your harvest. Well, the Rabbi has to be 3 full years. The opposite. What did he pirish? Dekel Nairo, Dekel Mishir Pirois according to Gemara. We talk about that the fruit does not fully grow. You need 3 harvests. You don't hear it, you don't have it. So we have over here the idea, the concept of the 3 years. So is it 3 full years, or is 3 years have to do with harvest? And that's the machlekes over here. And that's do you have to have 3 full years or not? Now, as the Rashbam says, go back. We'll see another one Rashbam before we end. The Rashbam says, go back to Zudi Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Akiva. Says the Rashbam in the middle of the Amud. So you don't have to have full 3 years, either 18 months or 14 months. According to this Rabbanon, we explain that the reason of Chazakah is 3 years people keep the shtar, not more. We pass it that way. The law is about the kids give a part, give a shayim, give a shayim, stage be hold over. She had the shtar, you still give a shayim. So the Rashbam learns that this depends on the machlekes. Meaning, if you hold, maybe people don't keep the shtar for 3 years, so then you have to have people shayim yom yom. If you hold, there's other reasons. Maybe chazakah of a shayim would. They don't have to have 3 full years. It all depends on that. Other Rishonim argue on the Rashbam and say no. The shtar is the same concept according to everybody. So what's the machlekes? How long a person doesn't hold on to the shtar? 3 years. Once 3 years pass, doesn't hold on to the shtar anymore, doesn't keep it. Or 3 harvests. He harvests the field 3 times. After the 3rd time he harvests, okay, that's it. These mandarim that say they do it in a shorter time, it's not because they don't hold shtar. But when they hold, the person stops keeping the shtar after he worked in the field for a certain amount of time. So he mainly, it's not that that's the machlekes between the shittas and the shtar and not shtar. They all agree the prior concept is shtar. How long is the person holding the shtar? That will be the machlekes. Let's stop over here. Continue to raise Hashem from tomorrow from here. Call to Rabbi Yisrael.